This is Still Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And today I have development management and policy analyst Alexander Oji and former commissioner in Delta State Oil Producing Area Development Commission, Sakeni Okolubu. Tonight we're discussing the task before the 10th National Assembly. So, gentlemen, let's talk about the composition of the new National Assembly leadership. How confident are you about their ability to deliver on the renewed hope of the current administration? Mr. Alex, you can go first.
All right. I think Senator Akpabio, Godswill Akpabio, has come with a rich CV. Having been a two-time governor of Akwa Ibom State, former minister, a former senator, and now a Senate president. I think it comes with a lot of experiences gained, be it at the state and at the federal level. One of the things, too, that also gives me some level of comfort to feel that, yes, we have a man who may be able to tackle some of the lingering situations and crises we've had over the years, especially when it comes to the issue of allegation of corruption. I wouldn't want to use the words of the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, of how he described the assembly and the lawmakers. But however, we remember what played out while Senator Akpabio was the minister for Niger Delta, and his appearance at the Senate, you know, the ups and downs and the drama that took place, where indeed he was ready to read out the figures, the names, and the facts. I think for such an individual, Nigerians will feel more comfortable that an individual like that who is coming on this board now, and maybe knowing his pedigree and the kind of person, there may be certain level of trust to say that there could be limitations in the level of Zico or the ex-wild rubber stamp senators we've had in the past. However, it is not a task he can undertake alone. One other thing that I believe that can make this National Assembly very effective is also the principal or other principal officers, because you need to look at the composition of the individuals. If you have a rotten egg among other good eggs, the tendency for the rest of the eggs to go bad in a couple of days or weeks is definitely higher. But however, looking at the Nigeria of today and the new sheriff in town, it may be difficult again to say that the days of do anyhow and get away with it may be over, because we know that a lot of expectations are out there on the shoulder of the president, who said, in his words, he applied for the job. It means.
So, Alex, are you there?
He is ready. Okay. It means the fact that he got the people he requested or wanted to have to work with him, it is also a plus for him. So I will be expecting to see, you know, a renewed hope from the Senate to the Federal House of Representatives with Abbas, and who is also coming with a rich CV. Let's not forget that these individuals have over the years traversed the various civil services at the leadership levels, and now they are at the helm of making laws. They are in touch with their people, and it is expected that the laws that they will be concentrated on making will be to alleviating the sufferings of the common man. But let us not forget that each time we are selfish to only consider the common man, because most times we say the law is for the common man, and we don't consider the rich. And then again, we ask ourselves, when we place the equality within the society, we must make laws both for the common, both for the rich, and everyone. No one should be above the law. So I believe that the new composition of the new men on board will definitely add value, in the sense that they have come prepared, and indeed they seemingly have rich CVs to speak for themselves. Yeah, and also the fact that they have been on these routes and know, you know, the rudiments, all the intrigues So it would be difficult to say that they are first timers and as such, anything will just go or slip by them. But however, we as Nigerians must also stand up to keeping them to their words, because it is only in continuing to engage them, especially when we see that there is a strain or there's a misalignment in the expectations that we have set as agenda, then we must be able to speak out. So I don't expect that if Nigerians are not docile, we shouldn't have docile leadership. That's my expectations for them.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Alex. Now, Sir Kelly, while you react to that, you would also agree with me that the National Assembly is presently being perceived poorly, or poorly perceived by the public. How would you advise the National Assembly to turn things around? I mean, in terms of public acceptance and goodwill for optimal performance?
One of the first things I think they will do is to revisit the petroleum industrial bill, the PIB. You remember that the host communities were given less than 5% of the profits. And Akpabio being from the Niger Delta, I remember when he visited Papa Clark, made a very strong speech. The Niger Delta people, I am from the Niger Delta, we laid the golden eggs and we have not gotten the fair share of what derivation is supposed to be. And so what I expect him to do at this point is to also weigh in on resource control. Now we have found out that there is also oil in the north. There's mining, there's a lot of deposits in mineral deposits, gold, and so many other things up north. So resource control should be, they should put teeth into it. It shouldn't be lip service. Because right now we have someone who did 74 bills, meaning that 53 bills were not assented to by the president, so 21 was passed. And so you have an Akpabio who also expressed his frustration on the reason why he could not complete the East-West road, because funds from there were taken from the Niger Delta Ministry to the Ministry of Works. So in all this, we should be able to see two presiding officers who are going to use their huge experience in actually making laws that are going to impact on the common masses. It won't be only laws that would impact on the rich. Now we know subsidy is gone. What palliatives are they going to be able to adjudge that should be sent down to the people? If $10 billion was being used as subsidy in a year, we expect that $10 billion to be used in terms of the palliatives that are going to be that will trickle down to the people. These are the things I expect them to actually look into as drivers of the National Assembly.
So for you, Mr. Alex, I mean, party supremacy finally prevailed. The election of the leaders went the way the APC leaders wanted it. What is the implication of this for the polity?
Well, the implication and the signal at the early stage is that there is harmony. But however, even when the harmony starts in most relationships, it is the journey that also determines if the relationship, can withstand the tides of time. The party supremacy has always reigned, but we've had a situation where some individuals take advantage of it and then convert the whole, into their own powers. And that is one thing that the Nigerian state must fight against. When we have a situation that individuals become more powerful, to the extent that there are no laws to checkmate them or to checkmate their excesses. And that is what we witnessed in some administrations before now. I do not think that there might be a lot of rancor, in as much as the very first stage has been overcome. It was envisaged that the house would have probably fallen down yesterday, and those predictions came and failed to materialize, because we were expecting that, in as much as there were still some rancor and disagreement as regards the leadership tussles, that we were expecting there would be a repetition of what happened in 2015. But however, it shows that Aswaju is a master of the game, and that he has the people behind him.
Who is this?
The only reason why that could have been achieved is because he has the support of the people and that the majority are with him. And for the fact that they have been able to showcase that in a uniform voice and spoke in oneness, I think all the next phase is the expectations in the delivery from the principal officers. There will be definitely a lot of internal pressures here and there, as my colleague had just said now, regarding expecting Akpabio to revisit the PIP and all other related, as it may affect his own region. We are.
So, Alex? All right, Kenny, let me come to you. So I do not know whether or not that was surprising, but interestingly, the election of the Senate president was tighter than that of Speaker of House of Reps. What is your view about this?
I hope you can see me well because I just had a power surge in the office. Am I on the screen?
Yes,
properly?
yes, please go ahead.
Okay, please, can you come again with the question, please?
All right, so I said I do not know whether or not that was surprising, but interestingly, the election of the Senate president was tighter than that of Speaker of House of Reps. What is your view about this?
Because there was a lot of sentiment as regards the votes that the Northwest had produced. But I think the party, the APC, I must give it to them in their wisdom, has zoned the deputy speakership to the Northwest and gave the speaker to the Northwest. So that sentiment of the votes that the APC got from the Northwest should have been not been brought into the front burner. Nobody thought Yari was going to get up to 46 votes. But by the time it was getting close to the election, it became clearer that the support base for Yari had increased. But I think the intervention of the president also helped a lot because if you remember very well, Ndume said, who was the Director General of Akpabio's campaign, said they had 75 senators who had signed on to Akpabio's presidency. And they got only 63 on the floor, meaning 12 people dissented. And it might have been more if maybe the president did not actually weigh in at the last minute. But then again, I don't think that should have made people think that the assembly was going to become a rubber stamp because of the intervention of the president. There is no president that would not want to be interested in who becomes the Senate president or who does not, who will become the Speaker of the House. So the competition was such that they felt, some felt that, the president should not dictate to us, should not be the one to tell us who should lead us at this material point in time. I think that is exactly what made the competition, what put the pressure on the floor of the House. And a lot of people voted. And the opposition party, the PDP, mainly voted for Yari. It was also a case of telling the APC that, look, if you go this way, we'll go this way. You will notice that the Director General of Yari was Ningi, who is PDP. The Assistant Director General of Yari is Abdul Ningi from Bauchi State, who is a PDP senator. And the likes of Jimo Ibrahim, even though APC, were also convinced that this material point in time, they needed to maybe show independence of the legislature. But I think it would have been wrong because Nigeria is a secular state. If Yari had emerged yesterday, it wouldn't have been a good thing that would have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 as Muslims.
All right, I do not know if Alex is back with us, but let me just continue with you. I mean, just like I asked him earlier, the election of the leaders went just the way the APC leaders wanted it. What is the implication of this on the polity?
Well, what it means is that, first and foremost, the APC do not now have any reason not to deliver to Nigerians. Because if maybe they had gotten other presiding officers other than the ones that was prescribed by the party, they can then say, maybe the case of Saraki and Dogara is being repeated, where there was a lot of strife between Buhari and the National Assembly, and there was mutual suspicion between both parties. Whatever bills that were brought, they were delayed, and eventually, if you notice, the two people, Saraki and Dogara, eventually ported to the PDP. So what it portends now is that the APC will then now come home to bring out the policies of Tinubu Tinubu assured Nigerians, he's told them, I look for this job, do not pity me. Because when people say they don't envy him, he said, look, I knew what I was coming into. But I must give it to him. This few weeks he has been president, the decisions he has taken has been one that has been very commendable. Nobody can fault him at this stage. And he's winning the support base of those who did not even vote for him. So if he continues on this trend, being the leader of the party at this particular point in time, the message he will be sending across to Nigerians is that this was not the Tinubu you people thought, or this was not the man you did not vote for. This is because if you look at the elections were very close. 8 million, almost 7 million and 6 points, almost 7 million for PDP and over 6 million for Peter Obi. So this is the message I'm sending across to you people. Look at the student loans he has signed, for example. Look at the removal of subsidy. He's the first president that has taken the bull by the horn, despite the harsh economic situations that he has come in to meet. So those things that he promised that he was going to do, he has started doing them. And so let us see if he's going to rejig what he did in Lagos State on this country at this material point in time, subject to the courts not having any contrary decisions to the elections that brought him into office.
All right, Mr. Orji, now that the new leaders emerged based on the party's choice, I mean, many are afraid the 10th National Assembly may pander to the whims of the executives. Earlier, I talked about public perception. Are their fears misplaced?
Oh, well, everywhere globally, every democratic settings, you would often find out that any sitting president would always want a Senate or an assembly he can work confidently and comfortably with. It is not out of place that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has made a request of some persons he feels he will be comfortable to dispense, his leadership on Nigeria. And I think it is also not out of place that the party has played the role it has in bringing about uniformity and unity and understanding, because understanding is one key that must be the leading principle in achieving anything under this administration, as we are now beginning to see it play out. However, the onus now is on the president and his team, because the buck stops on the table of the president. These were his wishes. It has been granted to the fullest. It is now expected that it is time to work. And I'm happy that he has formidable teams that are even at what we have seen so far, that have shown willingness to take the bull by the horn. If he's getting the same support from the National Assembly, I do not see any tendency for him not to deliver, because the task ahead is daunting and is beyond imagination. Nigeria needs attention in all aspects of life, which he himself, as the president, was able to identify before coming on board. And I believe that having been able to get this area sorted, the next phase will be to appoint the people to lead the affairs of other areas, as he, the president, cannot be at all places at all times. So it is now expected that the assembly will also showcase him, showcase its own support by giving the president the needful support when he approaches them. But again, Nigerians are not expecting a rubber stamp National Assembly. We're expecting an inquiry into things before it should be done. It shouldn't be a situation because it's coming from the president's table, just as we witnessed with the immediate past administration, especially in terms of loans. Nigerians need to know the reasons for the borrowings and indeed the repayment plan. While it is easy to approach and get a loan, Nigerians should be concerned about the repayment plan. And Nigerians should be more concerned about the sustainability of the repayment plan. You cannot go to borrow loans, and in most cases, it is squandered and looted. And at the end of the day, it is indebted into Nigerians. and the future generations to repay. And yet, Nigeria does not get to have the infrastructure. At the end of the day, we haven't seen meaningful prosecutions, except as Nigerians are clamoring and looking onto the president, that it should no longer be business as usual, that people would often do things and get away with it, or that things would happen, nobody is held responsible. We should have a situation where a leader at the helm of affairs should be held accountable and responsible for misdeeds in the ministries they hold. For instance, with what happened with the immediate past administration, especially in the Ministry of Interior, Nigerians would not want a repetition of what happened under the Ministry of Interior, where prisons were broken, people got away. Till today, Nigerians don't know who and who are in the custody of the Nigerian Correctional Facility, or those who have been recaptured, or those who are out there. What it meant is that the safety and the comfort of an average Nigerian has been challenged, and yet we never saw the president do anything about it. These are just one out of many that happened under the previous administration that Nigerians are praying that it never comes to light in this present day administration. So I believe that the president who had applied for this job, who has said, "Don't pity me," who is also showing the doggedness, to ensure that he meets up. The Asuwaju I know is somebody who is willing to give it all. And one thing that I know that many know of him is also the fact that he is never going to relent in ensuring he gets the very best. One of the things I believe that the National Assembly can do is to indeed enact laws to ensure that all those who have actually plundered this nation's wealth are brought to book, and that Nigeria recovers in entirety all that has been looted under the disguise of those who were in power or in leadership. And I believe that this task before the National Assembly must be fulfilled for Nigerians to feel, yes, that indeed their yearning have been met. And let us not forget that if this is just a 4-year assignment, there will still be a second round to come to appeal for the Nigerian voters in the next 4 years. So I'm sure that the leaderships are aware and would not want in any way at all to not deliver, especially with so much expectation from Nigerians, across all board. We can see clearly that Nigerians now are showing meaningful support to the president,
all right,
and also to his leadership style. And as such, Nigerians are willing to, to go through this suffering if we need to, so that we can get a better country that we'll all be proud of in the end.
All right, gentlemen, let's quickly analyze the composition of the National Assembly members from 7 different parties. Sakeni, what impact will this have of legislation for the 10th Assembly?
Well, if you look at it, this is the first time we're having senators from the 8 different parties in the National Assembly. You have about 8 from the Labour Party, you have about 59 from the APC, you have 1 YPP, you have 2 SDP, and I think you have about, is it 37 or so from the PDP. What it means is that the APC is a majority, but is not so much a majority as it used to be. So it means that the Assembly or the Senate, to start with, must see themselves as one, irrespective of political parties, for them to be able to work together in unison for the bills, for the executive bills that will be initiated by President Bola Tinubu to be passed. There need to be an understanding. And if you look at the House of Rep, you have about 38 or so from the Labour Party, about 180 or so, or 179 from the APC, about 117 from the PDP, and you have about 5 from ABGA, and 1 from YPP, and maybe 2 from ADC and 2 from SDP. What it therefore also means is that there is not an overwhelming majority by the APC. And the task before Abbas is that he had 353 members of the House of Rep. It has never happened in the history of the House of Rep. 353 members voted for him. He has no choice. We voted for him across party lines. In fact, all the opposition parties voted for him, because the other 6 votes that did not come to him was was APC people that voted for the other two people who were nominated. So Wase now has seen that Nigerians have given him their total support across all the federal constituencies. 353 constituencies said, we want you to be our speaker. So the task before him is being able to work in harmony. And actually, first, he's been somebody who has sponsored a lot of bills, to work in harmony with his colleagues from the other parties and endear himself to them, and also set up committees devoid of politics. Let him set up committees, put square pegs in square holes. If you're a lawyer, I can put you in a committee that has to do with INEC, that has to do with EFCC, for example, the Judicial Committee. If you have experience in banking, I'll put you in the banking background. In the Niger Delta, you had an experience either being an executive or have done things that have to do with investment, social investment programs. I can put you in those kind of committees. These are the kind of committees that will act as an oversight, because the job of the legislature is not only to make laws, you're also to act as an oversight. You're also to act as a check and balance on the executive. This is what brings governments closer to the people. The House of Reps are closer to the people than the senators. And so it is very important for him to now use this to his advantage and not also have caucuses alone that will be favored only by himself. So at that point, at this material point in time, you expect him to now impact on these various committees the need to go about their oversight functions without fear of favor. And that same will also apply to the Senate. And I think that probably has had enough experience.
We're gradually running out of time, so let me quickly get you on my next question. You know, expectations of Nigerians are high. For you, what next for the National Assembly?
Oh, yes. Expectations of Nigerians are very high. Just like the way the president has hit the ground running, they have to hit the ground running. There should be no unnecessary adjournment at this point. I'm happy that I saw that the Senate sat today, and I think the House of Rep also sat today. So they should hit the ground running. If possible, they should increase their period of sitting, since they have their calendars when they go on adjournments. They've had times that they went on, especially for the new members, they've had induction, they've gone on refresher courses, they've been taught the business of the House, and so and for the new senators, same thing applies to them. So they have no choice but to hit the ground running. Let us hear the committees being set up for the first time. Let us hear that the committees have been set up by next week. Nigerians will now know that the Senate and the House of Rep really wants to hit the ground running at this point in time.
So, Mr. Alex, while you react to that, how important is it that Nigerians are directly asking for bills or sets of legislation that will directly address growing hunger, poverty, and insecurity in the land, rather than churning out numerous bills that will make no impact at the end of the day?
Yeah, the expectations are high. The truth of the matter is that Nigerians wished that this so-called new approach to the economy will start from the top. We're wishing that the assembly, which it did over the years, has proven to be extremely expensive for the Nigerian to maintain, especially at this time. Would first of all begin by making sacrifices, because leadership is also about making sacrifices. That we are hoping and praying that these individuals will at one time, especially now, consider to sacrifice some of their comforts and reduce the pain on Nigerians in maintaining them as various assembly members. Their major duties are just in the enactment of laws and nothing much more than that. Nigerians have been yearning for transparency in the National Assembly budget, in the executions of the various so-called constituency projects, and then the so-called various renovations of the National Assembly and indiscriminate award of contracts. Nigerians have been yearning for a total cut down on especially the involvement of the various National Assembly members across all ministries. We've had in the past where most ministries have also fingered the National Assembly as the major perpetrators in the budget pardons in most of these ministries. We believe indeed in a new working president, that he will revisit this and also task these each members to indeed look inwards. The nation is bleeding in terms of resources. It is no longer going to be business as usual in, spending extravagantly to maintain these individuals, especially in the comfort lifestyle that are sponsored by Nigerians. Nigerians want to see a total cut in the budgets of the National Assemblies across all boards of all National Assembly related matters. So we believe that these excesses can actually go to taking and addressing some of the lingering issues or lingering infrastructural deficits we have in other areas of the country.
Mr. Alex, thank you very much. That's a good way to end the show. Thank you so much. We're out of time. I must say a very big thank you to you, Alexander Orji, Development Management and Policy Analyst, and former Commissioner in Delta State Oil Producing Area Development Commission, Sir Kenny Okolubo. Thank you for your perspective on the show tonight. Thank you very much.